I've been watching Victoria Chen operate for 3 months now, and honestly it's been fascinating. Like watching a masterclass in how to destroy your own career while thinking you're climbing the ladder. My name is Rachel Martinez, and I'm the Senior Operations Analyst here at Meridian Solutions. Most people think I just crunch numbers and organize meetings, but 20 years in corporate America teaches you a few things about reading people and playing chess while they're playing checkers. Victoria joined our marketing department as the new director of brand strategy, fresh from some flashy startup that went bust. She walked in here like she owned the place, designer heels clicking against our industrial carpet, talking about disruption and paradigm shifts. Within her first week, she had already scheduled one-on-ones with half the executive team, name-dropping connections at Fortune 500 companies like she was reading from a phone book. The thing about Victoria is that she mistakes volume for authority. She speaks in meetings like she's addressing a stadium, gesturing wildly, cutting people off mid-sentence. But I noticed something interesting during her first presentation to the C-suite. When CEO Margaret Foster asked about specific metrics, Victoria deflected with buzzwords. When CFO David Kim pressed for budget breakdowns, she promised to circle back. I've seen this before. She's all sizzle, no steak. The first red flag came during our monthly cross-departmental review. Victoria had been assigned to work with my team on optimizing our client onboarding process. Simple enough. We needed to streamline the paperwork and reduce processing time from 5 days to 3. I had already done most of the groundwork, mapping out inefficiencies and proposing solutions. During the meeting, Victoria presented my entire analysis as her own innovation, complete with the charts I had spent 2 weeks perfecting. When I politely mentioned that I had prepared those materials, Victoria smiled that sharp smile of hers and said, "Oh, Rachel helped with some of the data entry. Thanks for that." Data entry. I have a master's in business analytics and 15 years of process improvement experience, but sure, Victoria, I just do data entry. I should have escalated it then. Should have sent an email to HR documenting the credit theft. But I was curious. I wanted to see how far she would push it, how sloppy she would get. Sometimes the best way to catch someone is to give them enough rope. The rope giving accelerated quickly. Victoria started scheduling meetings that directly conflicted with mine, forcing me to reschedule with clients. She would volunteer my team for her projects without asking, then take credit for our deliverables. The worst part was how she did it with such casual confidence, like it was her natural right to commandeer other people's work. 2 months in, Victoria made her biggest mistake yet. She fired Jennifer Walsh from her marketing team, claiming poor performance and attitude issues. Jennifer had been with Meridian for 7 years, consistently exceeding her targets, beloved by clients and colleagues alike. The official reason Victoria gave HR was insubordination and failure to adapt to new strategic directions. The real reason, which Jennifer confided to me over coffee, was that she had questioned Victoria's budget allocation during a team meeting, pointing out some questionable expenses. Jennifer was devastated. She had been saving for her daughter's college tuition, and Victoria fired her 3 weeks before her annual bonus would have vested. Jennifer asked me if I thought she should fight it, and I told her something that surprised us both. I said, sometimes the best revenge is patience. That's when I started making some phone calls. See, people assume that because I keep my head down and focus on operational efficiency, I don't have connections. But 20 years in this business means 20 years of building relationships, attending conferences, and doing favors that people remember. My old colleague Amy Chan, different Chan, no relation to Victoria, works in corporate compliance now. My former boss Lisa Rodriguez is a senior partner at the legal firm that handles Meridian's employment issues. My college roommate happens to be married to someone who sits on Meridian's board of directors. I started documenting everything. Every email Victoria sent taking credit for my work. Every meeting she scheduled without authorization using company resources. Every decision she made that violated our established protocols. I created a timeline, cross-referenced it with company policy, and built what my lawyer friends would call an airtight case. But I wasn't ready to pull the trigger yet. Victoria was still escalating, still getting sloppier, and I wanted to see how high she would climb before the fall. The breaking point came during our quarterly board presentation. Victoria had somehow maneuvered herself onto the agenda, despite being at the company for less than 4 months. She was presenting what she called her strategic vision for brand transformation, complete with a proposal to restructure the entire marketing department under her direct control. I was in the room taking notes, invisible as always, when Victoria unveiled her piece de resistance. A comprehensive market analysis that would guide Meridian's expansion into 3 new verticals. The analysis was brilliant, thorough, and completely stolen from a report I had prepared for CFO David Kim 6 months earlier. She had changed some formatting and added buzzword headers, but it was unmistakably my work, down to a specific data anomaly I had noted in footnote 17. Victoria was midway through explaining the competitive landscape when CEO Margaret Foster asked about the methodology behind the customer segmentation analysis. Victoria stumbled, then launched into a vague explanation about proprietary algorithms and advanced analytics. That's when David Kim leaned forward and said, "This looks familiar. Didn't Rachel Martinez prepare something similar for our budget planning session?" The temperature in the room dropped about 10 degrees. Victoria's face went pale beneath her perfectly applied foundation, but she recovered quickly, saying, "Rachel contributed some preliminary research, but this represents a complete strategic evolution of those initial concepts." Margaret Foster looked directly at me. "Rachel, is that accurate?" This was my moment. 3 months of watching Victoria lie, cheat, and manipulate had led to this single question. I could have exposed her right there, in front of the entire board with witnesses and documentation, but that would have been messy, public, and potentially damaging to Meridian's reputation. Instead, I smiled politely and said, "I'd be happy to discuss the analytical framework with you after the meeting, Margaret. There are some fascinating technical details that might be worth exploring." Victoria shot me a look that could have melted steel, but she finished her presentation. The board was politely receptive, asked a few more probing questions that Victoria deflected awkwardly, and moved on to other business. After the meeting, Margaret Foster approached me privately. "Rachel, I'd like to schedule time to review that analysis you mentioned. And I think we should discuss Victoria's integration into the team. There seemed to be some communication gaps." That night, I made one final phone call to Amy Chun in corporate compliance. "Amy, remember that favor you owe me from the Johnson audit? I need you to take a very close look at someone's hiring paperwork and performance documentation, and I think you should probably loop in legal." The next morning, Victoria called an all-hands marketing meeting to announce her new strategic initiatives. She had prepared a presentation about team restructuring, budget reallocations, and performance expectations. She was particularly excited to discuss her plans for eliminating redundant positions and streamlining workflows. Victoria was 20 minutes into her presentation when HR Director Patricia Wells knocked on the conference room door. "Victoria, could I speak with you privately? We have some administrative questions about your employment documentation." I watched Victoria's face cycle through confusion, irritation, and then the first flicker of genuine concern. She excused herself from the meeting, promising to return shortly to finish her presentation. She never came back. Turns out, when Amy Chun ran a standard verification check on Victoria's background, some interesting discrepancies emerged. The Stanford MBA she claimed? She had attended 1 semester before dropping out. The previous startup she said she had helped scale to a $50 million valuation? It had actually folded after 8 months due to financial mismanagement. The Fortune 500 consulting experience? She had been a contractor for 6 weeks. But the real kicker was the budget analysis she had submitted for her strategic initiatives. Victoria had requested approval for $250,000 in marketing spend, including a suspiciously large allocation for external consulting services. When Patricia Wells cross-referenced the proposed vendor, it turned out to be a company that Victoria had incorporated under her maiden name just 2 weeks earlier. The final piece fell into place when David Kim's office ran the numbers on Victoria's proposed restructuring plan. Her plan to eliminate redundant positions would have resulted in laying off Jennifer Walsh's replacement and 3 other marketing specialists, while creating a new senior strategic advisor role reporting directly to Victoria, a role with a salary range that happened to match Victoria's current compensation plus a 30% increase. I was organizing files in my office when I heard the commotion from the marketing department. Raised voices, the sound of someone packing belongings quickly, and Patricia Wells speaking in her no-nonsense tone about final paychecks and NDA agreements. 20 minutes later, Victoria appeared in my doorway, designer handbag clutched in one hand, security badge in the other. Her perfectly styled hair was disheveled, and her confident composure had cracked completely. "You did this," she said, her voice shaking with rage and disbelief. "You somehow orchestrated this whole thing." I looked up from my spreadsheet, maintaining the same calm expression I had worn for 3 months of watching her destroy other people's careers and steal their work. "I'm not sure what you mean, Victoria. I just analyzed data and organized meetings. Don't play dumb with me. You knew exactly what you were doing. You set me up." I saved my document and closed my laptop with deliberate precision. Then I stood up, straightened my cardigan, and walked around my desk until I was standing directly in front of her. "Victoria," I said quietly, "I didn't set you up. You did that all by yourself. I just documented it." The realization hit her face like a physical blow. Her mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. She understood finally that every lie she had told, every corner she had cut, every person she had manipulated had been carefully catalogued by someone she had dismissed as irrelevant. "You think you're so smart," she whispered. I picked up my coffee mug, the one Jennifer Walsh had given me last Christmas, and took a sip. "No, Victoria. I just think you're predictable." The color drained from her face as she realized that her 3 months of corporate climbing had been nothing more than a carefully observed freefall. She turned and walked away, heels clicking against the industrial carpet one final time, while I returned to my desk and opened my laptop to finish the quarterly efficiency report.